Early the next morning, pious Grace went to church as usual to attend prayers. In the absence of his wife, Edward confessed the real reason for calling his son back this time. He was in love with someone else, although he knew it was wrong to do so, but it was inevitable. The son asked his father in shock, "What about Mum?" He said bluntly that his wife would be better off without him. Edward decided to divorce his wife. He was worried that she would have a nervous breakdown if she found out. That's why Edward wanted Jamie to be with his mother. It wasn't long before Grace came back from prayer. She hugged her husband gently from behind as he was making coffee, and apologized for last night. Edward had seen it happen too many times before. A slap in the face followed by a sweet date. It was his wife's usual trick. This time, he was not going to be soft, and Grace, who had no knowledge of her husband's infidelity, thought that if she apologized, he'd forgive him as he always did. So when her husband told her he wanted a divorce, Grace thought he was joking. Edward had to tell the truth. Edward said her name was Angela. They had been together for over a year. Looking at her husband's serious look, Grace finally sensed a crisis, but she still didn't realize she had a problem. "We've been together for 29 years. You can't just walk away. You have to try to change in order to keep her husband." She counted all the good times they'd had, countless days and nights of love and affection. How could they be so easily dismissed? Edward was not impressed. Over the years, he tried to change, but no matter what he did, he couldn't please his wife. He couldn't take this numb, depressing life any longer. When he returned to his room, Edward began to pack. At this point in time, Grace couldn't believe it. Her husband, who had always been weak and obedient, was really leaving her. Until the sound of the door opening, her heart died. Edward had taken only a few items of luggage, but he left behind years of pent-up frustration and resentment. He walked with a firm and sure step to the limousine that would lead him to a new life. Most goodbyes come like a storm, but the thunder and the raindrops have already given you a warning. You just don't pay attention. So when it happened, Grace couldn't handle the suddenness of it. She was a shell of a person who had been drained of her soul. She looked a decade older. She even started having hallucinations, seeing that familiar figure somewhere in the house. It was as if he had never left, but the visions were like beautiful bubbles, but they're always recognized by a clearer mind.